Let's welcome to the stage Superintendent Carol Nelson.
Thank you. I think he had perfect attendance when he was in first grade. Great student. He was just as energetic in first grade as he is on the screen. I was so blessed to be able to teach him those. So today I'm hoping that I can bring some information to you that may be of interest, that's maybe a little bit different than what we've done in the past, a little bit different format. And so we'll get started. Alvin ISD encompasses 252 square miles. We have just over 28,000 students. We're close to 4,000 employees. And so that kind of gives you the thought of the size of the district. I'll talk a little bit about some of our new campuses that are coming up. We're opening our 4th comprehensive high school in Iowa Colony, which is south of Highway 6. If you've ever been to Freedom Field, it's diagonal from there, and you can see it from 288. So it's a beautiful complex. So in case you didn't know, educators are our heroes. If you remember before the pandemic, everyone was like, teachers are such heroes. And then we've gone through the pandemic, and where have we lost that? Or have we lost it? When you think about what teachers have done for our students day in and day out, many of your children, they put their heart and soul every day into your child or your grandchild or your niece or nephew. And we just have to remind them they're in a critical place right now. We feel like public schools are under attack, right? Nothing we can do satisfies anyone. So I say we have to quit politicizing our public schools. We've got to let our teachers teach. We've got to let them serve our students. And so with that, I just want to say that they help us to make well-rounded students, and we've got to support them. In Alvin ISD, we have several different programs, and I just want to highlight a few of those. Of course, our advanced academics, we have our special ed students, and we have several programs there, we serve autistic children in what we call an ASD program. We have district behavior classes for the most severe emotionally disturbed students. But on the flip side, in the advanced academics, we have, of course, gifted and talented, which all school districts have. But we have a couple of special programs. WINGS, which is it's for students who are highly intelligent, like the Mensa level. And so it's very limited. There is qualifying rubric to get in and different tests that students have to do to qualify for that program. We also have a STEM program which services 6th grade through 8th graders, and that focuses on the sciences and technology. And that is hosted at Manville Junior High, and WINGS is at E.C. Mason Elementary. So we have one of those programs hosted at both of those campuses, but students from across the district attend those programs. And of course, we have our advanced placement and our dual enrollment. In our dual enrollment, we partner with ACC. They're a great partner, and recently their Board of Regents voted to reduce the cost for our students for dual enrollment classes. So we're going to be doing a big campaign to really encourage our students, because what does that do? That saves dollars for families, and it encourages kids to go to college. So we prepare kids for not only college, but we also prepare them for the workforce, we prepare them for the military. Our athletic programs are like none other. They exceed and excel at state levels in several of our athletic programs. We have different clubs across the district. We have our junior ROTC, which is hosted at Alvin High School. Any student across the district can transfer there to be in that program. The military is the one that commissions that program, so we can't host it at every high school. You can only have one in the district. We also have a fishing club now in the district. We have a barbecue cook-off team. Of course, we have robotics, student council, and lots of multicultural clubs and international festival. We have over 65 languages that are spoken throughout the district. A very, very diverse district, and we're very proud of that. Our fine arts also excel in several areas, visual arts, band, choir, but we also host orchestra at Nolan Ryan, and then, is it Nolan Ryan, Dr. Valdez? Nolan Ryan, and then Shadow Creek High School. We originally started it at Nolan Ryan, and then we expanded it as the kids got older. Very, very talented. If you're ever looking for someone to perform, they love to perform, and they're great. We have a lot of family and community engagement opportunities. Our parent university, we have a Yet mentoring program, which many of you are involved in. That's where you mentor a child 30 minutes a week. We're looking for more volunteers, so if you're interested, you actually can tell our family and community director, or engagement director, Anna Pascarelli, you can say, I want a high school student, I want a male, I want a female, I want a kindergartner, I want to be at this school. She will place you with a student to mentor. Then we have the READY program. We have the Alvin ISD book bus, which all of you are pretty much familiar with. It goes out into the communities and serves, especially during the summertime, in the different areas, different parks, different neighborhoods, for our students to be able to have access, because we believe literacy is where it begins. And then this year, we had the STEM bus come on. And so the Alvin ISD STEM bus was just revealed about a month ago, and this wouldn't have been possible without our Alvin ISD Education Foundation, who was a big push behind that. They put a lot of money forth to sponsor the STEM bus. And so at that, I'm going to let you see a little video.
This has been a long process, but so worth it. Now that we are able to set up the stations, and we have actually worked with kids, with students, have brought some students into the STEM bus to be, kind of the testers. And we know that this is going to definitely be an impact for every campus in Alvin ISD. And we couldn't be happier to be able to bring this kind of program, which have state-of-the-art technology that not every school has. But now every school is going to be able to bring their kids and offer that kind of technology.
Having the opportunity to hands-on with drones, hands-on with robotics, coding, that's just another level of learning opportunity for every child. So I'm very, very excited. I think I go home and I'm like all smiles because I love this position. I look forward to bringing this enthusiasm to every campus. So these are high school students that are looking for careers in STEM, engineering, architecture, science, or math. So that is one of the biggest things that I think that it drew them also to this. And the fact that we're taking them around to every campus for them to actually facilitate the students, is just another way of them learning as well.
One of the most important things that we can do to guarantee the success of our students is to bring them engaging experiences. And this is what it is. The STEM bus is as engaging as something can be. You can see this from the very first moment that the children entered the STEM bus for the first time. You can see their eyes light up and just the wonder and how willing they are to start trying all the stations and to start working in every station. This is going to be one more addition to the way the Alvin ISD connect with the community. So just like we did it with the book bus for the past 6 years, now we're going to have another learning program. It's going to go not only to the schools, but also close to the kids' neighborhood, to our community. And we're hoping to have the same support that we are having so far with the book bus.
So the STEM bus was made possible with lots of donations from volunteers and partners throughout the community, and we couldn't have made that possible. We donated the bus, the school district did, the driver, and then we have a teacher that also works on the bus. So when it goes to the different areas, this summer it's going to our summer schools, and then our curriculum department developed the curriculum for the bus. So we're very excited about the rollout of the STEM bus. And of course, we couldn't do it without our Alvin ISD Education Foundation. Some of you volunteer for that. It's strictly made up of volunteers under the direction of Ms. Sheila Olson, and she's here today, our executive director. And Sheila has really expanded the Education Foundation, I know since I've been involved with it, and there's several things up here on the screen that you can see that we do, but a lot of it is scholarships, and the money goes back to our campuses, our teachers, teaching grants, scholarships for students and for teachers wanting to go back to school. And I'll tell you, anytime we need anything, she's like, just let me know, we're here for you. So we couldn't do it without the support of them. We also prepare our students for life after graduation. Like I said, workforce, college, military. We recently held our graduation. We brought it back from Reliance Center the last few years since COVID to Freedom Field. ACC also hosts their graduation out there, and so it's a beautiful venue, and thank the Lord, the rain has held off for us. One year we got a little bit of rain, but we started it right back up. So we graduated over 1,900 students this year, and so very exciting to see them go on to be successful adults. Our career and technology education is across all of our high school campuses. Some people have, just like Turner has their CTE program in Pearland. We have it at each high school, and then we have JBH, Hensler campus, and there it's more the advanced classes, like your 3rd and 4th year, and that's where we get a lot of students who get their certifications even before they graduate. Just like their dual enrollment, they graduate with their associate's degree from ACC before they even graduate from high school. So there's great opportunities for our students out there. We have 26 different programs of study. I won't name them all, but we have a vet assistant, a dental assistant, a CNA, a CMA. We have criminal justice, cosmetology, barbering, welding, auto tech, construction, HVAC. So a lot of different pathways for students if they're not on the traditional college. If they want to go out to the community college, a lot of those courses transfer and they can continue to work there as well. Of course, that's the J.B. Hensler location. School safety is a hot topic right now, but it's been a hot topic in Alvin ISD. We have planned for years and years. That is one of our top priorities, the safety of our students and the safety of our facilities. In fact, in the last bond, which was 2018, we had dollars in there for safety. We put fences around all of our schools. We put vestibules, went and retrofitted schools with security vestibules, but we also hired additional police officers. So our high schools each have 3 officers on the campus. Our junior highs have a full-time officer, and our elementary officers are contract officers. A lot of times they're parents who are police officers, and on their days off, they work for us. And we have officers who are assigned 3 elementary campuses. So not only do we have the contract officer there, but we also have an officer who is on those campuses every day. And so we have a force of about 40 officers, certified, the average experience level is 17 years. We don't hire brand new officers. We hire officers who have worked out in other agencies. We have 9 officers that are mental health officers. We have 6 who are certified to teach rapid response training, the advanced law enforcement. We have 6 that are also certified to teach rapid deployment intervention. And we also have solo officer engagement. And so you'll hear that term now after Uvalde, is that we don't wait for other officers to show up. Our officers there, they're gonna engage. They're not waiting for anyone. And they have, I met with our chief yesterday, Roy Gesh and I did, and Roy's he's our deputy over operations, and he said, our officers know they don't have to wait for somebody to tell them what to do. They know what to do. We've had training in place for years. In fact, we invite other municipalities and people to come in and train with us. We've had active shooter training for years. A lot of my administrative team has been involved in that. We've invited outside people, so if you're interested, just let us know and we'll get you involved in the active shooter training. All of our staff is CRAZE trained, which is how civilians handle active shooter engagement. We have officers who have been to the FBI Academy, DPS, DEA, you name it, they have experience. So we're very have a lot of faith in our officers, and we hope that we never experience what some of our neighboring districts have experienced, or some of our other schools. Schools should be a safe place. We serve every student every day. Of course, I shared some of this already, some of the statistics, but let me show you where the growth is. We're the 7th fastest growing school district in the Houston area. We have over 15,000 future lots available for building. We have over 2,000 annual closings this last year. So growth is happening. During the pandemic, it slowed down for us, but this year we're projected to continue to grow. The annual closings, of course, you see Meridiana had the most, and then Lakes of Savannah, the Pomona area. Sierra Vista is south of 6, southwest of 6. If you know where the Sterling Lakes area is, it's south of that. It's up and coming. We have an elementary school right now that's being built there. Sterling Lakes, Del Bello Lakes, which is right there on 288 Lakeland. And then, of course, Mustang Crossing is in Alvin proper, and then Blue Water Lakes is on Highway 6. Vacant developed lots, again, you see Sierra Vista is up and coming, Meridiana, Pomona, Yanni Palms, all of those areas. And then Rodeo Palms is on there as well. Our futures, of course, Meridiana, there's a place off of 1462, further closer to Nelson Elementary, which is Walton. And then Sierra Vista again, Massey Oaks, which y'all know where that is, north of the district, close to the Pearland city limits. Or Pearland ISD, I think it is. And then our housing developments. So the green is where there's active houses being built right now. The yellow is future, and then of course, I don't know if you can see the red, that's where groundwork is occurring. So lots of growth happening in the area, which is good for business, right? Iowa Colony, I want to give you a little glimpse of it. Because some of you may not drive south, but I have a little video I want to show you.
Iowa Colony High School is just really coming along. The first time I walked onto that campus, there was still dirt in the entry, and now when you go in, there's paint on the walls, they're polishing floors. We are hired up on our head coaching staff. We have a band director who's working on our school song, which is really cool. We've been out to meet with every single pioneer who's coming to our campus, so all of our 8th graders and 9th graders who will join us. It's just neat, you know, we're building this fantastic team. There's not a single person we've hired that I wouldn't put my own child in their classroom, and so it's been really fun to see all of the pieces from furniture to personnel start coming together. So to this point, we've been very fortunate that we've had an amazing response to all of our job postings. So we're not nervous yet. We've been able to pick some fantastic people to join our team. It's been a bucket list item for me to be able to be trusted to open a school and really establish that culture from the ground up. Seeing the campus come together and being able to make decisions about things like furniture that really match my instructional philosophy and beliefs about what we should be doing in the classroom has been an experience like no other I've ever had in education. Being able to sit in every single interview for every single person that's going to come onto our campus has been such a gift, and getting to know those people even before they step foot on the campus or I step foot on the campus permanently is really unique and special. So at Iowa Colony, we will cultivate a culture of excellence that ignites learning, empathy, and passion in our pioneer family. You know, one of the most exciting things is to be out in Iowa Colony and realize that this high school is going to be the cornerstone of that community. You know, we'll serve that community in a way that no neighborhood or business has been able to do. We're really excited to build those traditions, and we've been telling our kids the things they start next year are going to be things that they carry on long after they're gone, and kids who are not even in school yet one day will probably be enjoying the traditions that they start. And so that's just been such an awesome responsibility, and we trust our kids with it, and we're excited to see what they do when we open our doors.
So Iowa Colony will open up as a 4A high school with freshmen and sophomores, and then we'll add a grade level each year. We have Shadow Creek High School is 6A, Alvin High School 6A, and then Manville is 5A. So we'll participate in each one of those UIL divisions. Delbert Nichols and Wilma Mock Elementary is the one in Sierra Vista. It will open the following year, next year. And then Harvey Junior High, which is in Alvin, it's being renovated at the time. Okay, in a minute I'm going to introduce my CFO, and I want him to explain a little bit about how school finance works. And I'm doing that because we all got our tax bills, right? Or our appraisals back in April, maybe it was? I hear. We all did that. Our values went up, right? And then what do we hear? And even from my friends, our school taxes are going up again, right? We don't get all that money. It is balanced out throughout the state. But I'm a homeowner. I know exactly what you're talking about. And, I'll just take this disclaimer. We don't control the values of your property. I wish we did, because then I control my own, right? But today, I'm going to ask Dr. Combs to come up. He's our CFO, and explain a little bit about how the school finance works. Before, I'll finish up after he's done, and I'm going to say one more thing. So Daniel, I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Superintendent Nelson. Interestingly enough, we heard there actually might have been some similar conversation about this on social media. Some of it might have been decades. I don't believe it. That's probably not the case. But what we do realize is there's a whole lot of misunderstanding. School finance is exceedingly complex. We have a few experts in the room. We have, of course, Senator Larry Taylor, who is the chair of Senate Ed for many years, and we have Representative Ed Thompson, and they are incredibly involved in school finance and have done a lot both to help public education and taxpayers as well. But we wanted to talk a little bit about the structure of public education funding in a fairly concise time. So I'm going to do my best just to show a little bit of the mechanics of how funding works for a school system. So a school district in Texas has two different tax rates. We have our operational tax rate, and we have our interest in sinking or debt service tax rate. You see the new buildings coming to the district. This tax rate pays those. They're associated with bond elections. Our operational tax rate, that's the rate and the funding that pays for teachers and fuel and buses and electricity and all those different things. There's actually two different components of the operational tax rate. One thing that has changed in recent years with House Bill 3 in 2019 was a complete restructure of how school funding works in the state of Texas, is that this little graphic, by and large and materially, is how the majority of our funding occurs to run schools. So the biggest factor is how many students we have, the percent of attendance when they come to school. That number of students is multiplied by a series of weighted programs. The state has identified there's a number of programs that should be offered in schools. Some of them cost more to provide. Current technical education, Superintendent Nelson referenced our Hensler Academy and the incredible opportunities schools have. Those are expensive programs to run and operate. So the state allows some increased funding for students in those programs. Special education, bilingual, dyslexia, those programs generate additional funding. Through that calculation, we receive X number of dollars. Remember in high school when your teacher said, hey, you'll use algebra? And like, well, I think this is the day we just use a letter with a number, so I think this is that time that she was, so we checked the box on behalf of algebra teachers in Alvin ISD. So this is the major calculation, especially for Tier 1 operational funding. The unique thing about public school finance, where it's a little bit different than other governmental entities, other taxing entities, is that public schools have a relationship between the state and the local community outlined by the Constitution that there is a system for educating children. That's when you've heard there's been school finance lawsuits that have gone to the Supreme Court. It's about the appropriateness and constitutionality of how students are educated. So there is a relationship between how we get that X number of dollars, student count, attendance, programs, between state funds and local taxpayers and tax dollars. We're extremely sensitive to the impact school funding has on taxpayers. And we want taxpayers to understand a bit of how the calculations occur. So what often happens, a few different scenarios, is that in a scenario where property values decline, not our situation today, but when property values decline, a school district's local fund assignment, tax collections, what we're expected to generate, that would decrease, and state aid, money to run schools for the state, would increase. The school district gets the same X number of dollars in that scenario. In a scenario where we're in today, certainly with very rapid increasing values, the local fund assignment goes up, state aid goes down. The school district receives X number of dollars. But let's give credit where credit is due. Through Senator Taylor's work, through Representative Thompson, on behalf of taxpayers, through House Bill 3, this relationship, which has occurred for many, many years, was slowed through tax compression on the Tier 1 rate. And they did that and passed that. So this change is slowed considerably to where it was in years past. So kudos to their work in that regard. The scenario 3, many of you have heard about this, recapture Robin Hood. We're not in that scenario, but just to tie that concept to what we're talking about, this would be a scenario where the local collections of a community exceed X number of dollars. So the taxes in that community are generating more revenue than that calculation says the school district should get, so that amount would go back to the state. Also, this scenario reduced by House Bill 3 and compression. So then we get into the Tier 2, that second part. This is where it gets exceedingly complex, and where I turn it over to Senator Taylor to explain golden pennies. So just to give a very broad overview, this is a provision in school finance. When there's the lawsuits and talk about equity, you have different school districts in very different scenarios. You have West Texas district with very little value. You have affluent communities, even to the point of like a Highland Park. And you have districts with a tremendous amount of commercial value, industry, where they have very large taxpayers. Well, this system, part of the Tier 2 tax rate, basically the state says how much a school district is allowed to tax there, and the voters approve the rate that can be taxed for these pennies. But the unique thing is every district in the state essentially, very few exclusions, essentially gets a defined yield, the same amount of money per penny. So if you're a far West Texas district with little value, or a district with a lot of commercial value, if you taxed a golden penny, you would get the defined yield of $96 or $98.56. So 1 penny per student essentially on your tax rate. Every district would get the same thing for a golden penny. A district can have up to 8. On a copper penny, it's half that ratio. So every district that taxes there would generate essentially the same amount of revenue. The thing that occurs in the school finance system now, when values go up, you see that relationship. And there's compression, which is to the benefit of taxpayers. It keeps the rate from continuing to go up. When values continue to increase, it brings that Tier 1 rate down to offset it. And TEA actually calculates that rate, the Tier 1 tax rate, for a school district in July. Once certified values come out, we submit to the Texas Education Agency. They certify what's called a maximum compressed rate, an MCR. They give that back to us, and then our board, using that certification from TEA, is able to move forward with the tax rate. So it's an exceedingly complex system. Of course, this is just some of the major mechanics of it, but it is very much a relationship between the state and the local community. But when people say values are going up, the school district must have a ton of additional funds because my tax rate is going up, I'm paying more to the school district. The vast majority of it is in that X number of dollars that's dictated by number of students, how much they come to school, the weighted programs they participate, and that generates the district entitlement, which we use to operate schools. The area where that's not structurally as true is with debt service. That's that second part I talked about with bonds. In that scenario, We have a payment to pay for the bonds that build the schools. That's divided by the taxable values, and that determines the INS tax rate. Over here, in a scenario where taxable values go up, if the district doesn't sell bonds, your rate should go down. In this scenario, in Alvin ISD, we are selling the approved bonds from the 2018 bonds. So we don't exactly fit in that because we continue to have some sales to accommodate 1,100 students that showed up this last year. Right here, we have the amount of the payment, and if values go down, no more sales, your tax rate would have to go up because the community has to pay that note. So all of that factors in together. I think the statutory language of House Bill 3 was about 200 pages-ish, so it's exceed 300 pages. Senator Taylor's correcting me, I appreciate that. I'm nervous about what grade I'm gonna get after this today, but we'll find out later. But 300 pages on that one single piece of legislation, and then House Bill 1525 and many other pieces of legislation dictate how all this operates. But at least this shows a bit of the mechanics of how school district funding works. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Superintendent Nelson.
If you have any future questions about school finance and how schools are, Dr. Combs will answer your questions because he can talk for hours about that. So I'm just telling you, we learn something all the time. So I did want to go back to the safety for a minute because I forgot to mention a couple things. We can't tell everything we do behind the scenes, right? Because then it's really not a secure safety plan. There are a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. But all of our officers, because you'll hear some of the things coming out about Uvalde, and we've gotten a report and we've gotten together and we've studied what we're doing versus kind of what happened and what we have in place. All of our officers have a master key. They can get in any classroom anywhere in the district. So a Shadow Creek High School officer can get into Alvin High School classrooms or Pomona Elementary classrooms. So they all have master keys. They also have tactical gear, and I won't go into what all they have, but every classroom also has the capability, they have a phone in the classroom that they can call 911. So they don't have to look for their cell phone or things of that nature. We have capabilities across the district for lockdown. So there's a lot of things that we have in place. But as one of my team members said, if they're gonna get in, they're gonna try to find some way that we do audits every day, every week of our schools. Going around checking the doors, we document when doors are left open, we go back and check again. So there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. So everything we can do to keep our kids safe, and I think you all could agree to that. And I know as businesses, you look at your businesses, you're all having to operate differently too on access a lot of times. I know when I go to Memorial Hermann, there's certain areas I can't get into, right? Because I don't have a swipe, and that's all security type things. You have to check in and things of that nature. So very important. I want to give kudos to the Board of Trustees that are here and then those that aren't. Last night, what is this, Thursday? Tuesday night, losing my time. They approved our budget for this next school year, and with that, they approved a starting teacher salary at $61,100, which is really competitive in the area. They also approved a 3% raise, and they approved an increase in the contribution for the employees' insurance. And we're a self-insured district, so we pay all the claims that don't get covered by the premiums that we collect on the backside. In some years it may be $1 million or $2 million, and some years it may be $6 million. So just kudos to the continued support of our trustees. And of course, I have a lot of admin staff here as well that make it happen. And thank you for your continued support of our schools. And I will say, another hot topic right now, being a former librarian, at one point is library books. And you hear that all the time. Know that our librarians are selecting age-appropriate materials. They can't read every single book that's in there. A lot of times books come with special awards, and you think, okay, School Library Journal gave the award, or the Children's whatever gave an award, and then you find something and you think, that's not so good, right? But I will tell you, some of the books that have come out, we've checked our libraries, do we have them? And then we may have one or two somewhere on a shelf in a high school, and we look and we say, okay, how many kids have checked it out? zero. But now that we've brought it to everybody's attention, everybody's looking for it. No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing. But then we have discussion and we have committees that will read them and make decisions to take them off the shelf. But I will tell you, what every kid, or 90% of our students have, is a smartphone. And we can't control what they're looking at on that smartphone. And if you've ever looked at a smartphone, you can get anything. I think about when all my kids ever watched was PBS, because we didn't have cable, right? And I had to worry about what was on PBS. But I protected my kids and what they were exposed to. Thank God there weren't cell phones back then, or smartphones. So think about that. And we're reviewing our cell phone policy. We already have it in there that it shouldn't be out during class times unless for instructional purposes, but we have a committee, kind of a task force of teachers and administrators together, principals, and we're really looking at that. Because before we could control it with firewalls and blocks, now they have these unlimited plans that they're on their own data plan. So our school district firewalls, unless they're on our Wi-Fi, it's not getting blocked because they have unlimited plans that their parents have purchased. So anyway, just a thought of what do we do with kids in smartphones. That's a challenge for us moving forward. So thank you again for your continued support and safe travels and happy summer.
Yeah.